I'm sorry, you are full of you-know-what, all right? It wasn't lost control. It was on purpose. They opened the border to flood the country to bring it down.
Yes, and you know what else? And you know what else I know, Vinny? You know what else I know? That there was a federal process.
Let me finish. You have 1 minute.
By breaking the law.
Can I have 1 minute?
All right, very quickly, Vinny, and then Gillian.
How many ICE detainees died?
Observing what ICE is doing.
That's a lie.
No,
That's a lie.
let me finish, Vinny, let me finish.
You're lying.
Observing, no, I'm not.
You're lying.
I saw it for myself. Observing.
Renee Good was driving her car and barricading it.
Can you let me finish that?
Lewis,
can you let me finish that?
Yeah, but you're lying.
Could you let me finish?
You're lying. Why
Could you let me finish? Have you been in Minnesota?
You ever notice how some of these MAGA commentators completely lose their composure the second they get challenged by somebody calm, informed, and actually prepared? Because that is exactly what happened here. In this clip, UK journalist Lewis Goodall absolutely dismantles a PBD Podcast co-host without even raising his voice. Meanwhile, the guy on the other side looks like he's seconds away from completely blowing a gasket. Before we dive in, comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Trust me, this exchange gets very revealing very quickly. Let's get into it.
And if ICE don't do what they're doing, then how do you actually identify and remove people who are there in America illegally, and particularly the ones who commit heinous crimes?
Well, something has to be done, Piers. I would agree with you, and I would also agree that part of the reason this story is taking place is because political oxygen and space was created by the Biden administration. No doubt they lost control of the border, and no doubt politics of this on the left went too far. But no one voted in the United States, and I've not been watching it from afar because I've just come back from Minnesota reporting from there for the News Agents podcast. And I can tell you right now that no one there, including Republicans, voted for what we are seeing. What I saw in Minnesota, Minneapolis, St. Paul, was the terrorization of ordinary Americans. Everybody there, particularly if you're black or brown, has a story. They have started in the last 50 days or so, taking out their passports with them, taking out their documentation with them. So scared are they about being accosted by ICE officers. Even legal American citizens are worried about being picked up and detained for however long, going to church, going to the supermarket, picking up their kids from school. No one in the United States, even Trump voters, voted for that. Much less did they vote for the killing of American citizens on American streets. And just to pick up what Vinny said, look, there is a reason that these people, many of these people, Renee Good and Alex Pretty, completely model American citizens. No criminal record, simply people concerned about what is going on in the community. Why are they out observing, just observing, not interfering, observing what ICE is doing?
That's a lie.
No,
That's a lie.
let me finish, Vinny, let me finish.
You're lying.
Observing, no, I'm not.
You're lying.
I saw it for myself. Observing.
Renee Good was driving her car and barricading it.
Can you let me finish that?
Lewis,
can you let me finish that?
Yeah, but you're lying.
Could you let me finish?
You're lying. Why
Could you let me finish? Have you been in Minnesota?
And this is where Vinny's argument completely falls apart. Because while he's yelling, Lewis is lying, the footage literally shows her calmly letting cars pass before ICE officers even got out of the vehicle. That's the problem with these debates. Shouting louder doesn't change what people can clearly see with their own eyes.
So recently, have you been in Minneapolis? Have you watched it? Because I have,
no,
and I can tell you.
Why the hell would I want to go to Minnesota?
Right, okay,
Lewis?
because you believe what you want to believe. I'm telling you what I saw.
Hold on,
I'm telling you
Lewis,
what I saw for myself.
You think Renee Good?
I'm telling you what I saw for myself in my own eyes. People are observing, and why are they observing, sir? They're observing because they know that the federal government will lie about what ICE agents are doing. They have done that repeatedly. They do not wait, as any normal government would do, for an investigation. They do not wait for the facts to emerge. They do not wait to interview observers and people who were there. They simply decree almost instantly that anybody involved is a domestic terrorist. We have seen those lies about Alex Pretty exposed for what they are. He was not trying to massacre anyone, as the Department of Homeland Security claimed. He was observing because he knows that the federal government will lie. If these citizens don't come out and do what they do, they know there can be no justice. They know that these ICE agents will be able to act with impunity. And the proof of the pudding in that is what we have seen with Alex Pretty. If those observers were not there, then he would have been shot in the back as he was, with his gun in his holster, and the federal government would have lied about it. We would have had to believe what they said. Instead, we were able to see, because of the peaceful observations of the people there, we were able to see the truth, which is this was a man who was shot in the back who was posing no threat whatsoever to those ICE officers. And even the reason that they were there in the first place proved to be a lie. That is the ICE officers. Why did ICE say they were there? They said they were there. No, let me finish. They said that they were there to detain an Ecuadorian, an illegal Ecuadorian, who was an ardent criminal. What did it turn out? The Minnesota Department for Corrections made clear when they got the name of this person. His only violations, illegal, yes. Was he a violent criminal? No. He'd had a few traffic violations on his record. Alex Pretty died for a man who basically had sped and gone too fast in his car. I don't think his death, killed in the streets by his own country's officers, is worth that, do you?
But Lewis, all right, but before I go to Gillian, Lewis, but what would you do, right? You're in charge of Homeland Security in the United States. You know millions and millions of people have come in the last 4 years illegally. They're in America. All right? There's a lot of anger about that with a lot of Americans. You've just seen Donald Trump come in with a thumping win on a mandate of dealing with this. If you don't do it the way they're doing it, how do you get these people, identify them, bring them to justice, and deport them if they're committing crimes?
I would do too.
Now look, nobody's denying that Donald Trump won the election. He did. But winning an election and approving of every single method used afterward are two completely different things. And that's the part a lot of these commentators keep ignoring. Many Americans wanted stronger border policies, sure, but what people are reacting to now is the way it's being carried out. That's why even some Trump voters are starting to feel uncomfortable with what they're seeing unfold in real time. Because once people start seeing these stories with their own eyes, the political slogans stop sounding as convincing.
Two things, Piers. I would obey the law and I would pass immigration reform. If you obey the law, President Obama, Vinny's already said it for himself, President Obama was called the deporter-in-chief. He managed to deport millions of illegals. He did that, and he didn't need to do that by employing what is basically a poorly trained paramilitary force operating with impunity, attacking citizens of the United States. And moreover, if you were to do what has long been necessary in America, which is comprehensive immigration reform, the bargain should have always been, the Democrats get what they want, which is a pathway to citizenship, particularly for children who have come over undocumented, but the Republicans get what they want, which is a bolstering of the border. That has been tantalizingly close multiple times. Normally, it's been Republicans, including now the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, when he was in the Senate, who walked away from it because they thought it was a good political issue for them to do. You do not need to deal with immigration by breaking the law.
Can I have 1 minute?
All right, very quickly, Vinny, and then Gillian.
How many ICE detainees died? How many detainees, illegals died under Obama? Do you know the number, Lewis, since you're so factual and you have the history report? How many?
How
57 died under Obama.
Yes, and you know what else? And you know what else I know? You know what else I know? That there was a federal process.
Let me finish. You said the Biden administration lost control. This is your direct quote. They lost control of the border.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you are full of you-know-what. All right, it wasn't lost control. It was on purpose. They opened the border to flood the country to bring in their damn votes.
Well, how would they have been able to vote if they weren't citizens?
Excuse me,
all right.
Let me finish. When Texas, the governor put a freaking barbed wire, the White House sued him and sent trucks to lift it up to bring these illegals. Enough of your nonsense. And don't talk about churches. You're talking about they're scared in churches. Look what the hell happened recently with the churches where the two BLM people came in there and the report just came out that they were telling the kids.
You know what? It sounds like you're saying, Vinny, that Rennie Good and Alex Pretty had it coming, and it's disgusting.
Honestly, watching Vinny throughout this exchange was genuinely difficult at times because the more the conversation went on, the more emotional and defensive he became. Meanwhile, Lewis Goodall stayed calm, stuck to the facts, and kept bringing the discussion back to what was actually happening instead of turning it into a shouting match. And that's the difference people are noticing now. One side comes with reporting, evidence, and first-hand observations. The other side too often responds with outrage, interruptions, and conspiracy-driven talking points the second they get challenged. But beyond the personalities involved, this debate touches on something much bigger. A lot of Americans, including some who supported Donald Trump, are looking at these situations and asking whether this is really the approach they wanted to see carried out. Because regardless of where people stand politically, most people do not want to see fear, chaos, and constant escalation becoming the norm. And the reason these conversations keep gaining attention globally is because the entire world is watching what happens in the United States right now. People are paying attention. They're watching these debates, they're watching the footage, and they're making their own judgments based on what they can clearly see for themselves. But let me know what you think about this entire exchange down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe for more commentary like this.